Colorado State and Virginia, Baylor and Colgate. Those are the two games we're going to discuss right off the bat with Adam Trigger. What a show we got lined up. 2 MVPs, 3 MVPs, because Adam Trigger is one of them. Art DiCesare joining us after Adam. Sharapan, David Sharapan joining us after Art DiCesare. Teddy's got a big game breakdown on the Butler, Minnesota game. I'm Lawrence Presman. Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. Teddy covers my co-host, Adam Trigger, right off the bat, and let's bring him in. Adam, this is your time of year, bro. I can see with the smile. I mean, you look how much I love hockey pales in comparison to your college basketball love. Very few people are happier than you this time of year. Welcome to the show, bro.
Yeah, no, it's the best. It's the best week of the year. I mean, the Thursday through Saturday, the NCAA tournament, win or lose. Hopefully, it's a win. There's no better time of year. It's just nothing beats it.
Well, I mean, listen, it's obviously debatable. I think people who don't love college basketball wouldn't agree, but given that most of our viewers do, let's get straight into it. Colorado State minus 2.5 over Virginia. Where are we going in this game?
Yeah, so I chose this one because this one goes tonight. So I know people are going to want to kind of know my take on this one. And I'll answer one of Teddy's follow-ups first because I know he's going to ask this. And it's what kept you off from making this like a client play. And there's really two things. One, the number I would have probably liked to get closer to a pick. Of course, this opened minus 1.5 Colorado State. Kind of quickly bet up to 2.5. It hit as high as 3. I think you could probably get 2.5 out there right now. But still, that's a key number, right? Like we're talking, especially you get to March, you get to these like do or die games. 2.5, 3 is a key number. You really have to kind of decide if that's something that you want to lay. And I ultimately decided in a potential low possession game where the total is 120 that I didn't really want to lay 2.5. Now, the other thing is the fact that Virginia's in the shouldn't be in narrative, right? And it's like, every year we get a team like this who gets into the tournament. All the talking heads say they shouldn't be in. The people that didn't watch college basketball for 5 months then piggyback and decide they shouldn't be in. And that team always wins, Prez. Somehow, Pitt last year, it was Pitt, and not only did they win this game, they ended up in the Sweet 16. So those were kind of the two things that concerned me, because there's no greater motivator for a team than having to listen to the national media for 2 days say that you shouldn't be in, the tournament. But as far as the matchup's concerned, it tilts me toward Colorado State. I think you're going to see, you've got a total here of 120.5. Which I think knee-jerk, a lot of people are going to be like, man, that seems low. That's really low. And the reality is it probably should be that low because, these two teams they're both going to run the shot clock almost to zero. They average the longest possessions of any team in the country. So you're probably going to get a low-scoring game that you need a high efficiency to go over 20.5. And, I guess in that type of game, I go back to something that I said, maybe a couple months ago that I still truly believe. And it was after I got home from Colorado State, got to see a game there. I still think Isaiah Stevens is one of the best players at his position in the whole country, especially that I've got to see in person this year. Now, I didn't get to see every team in person, but I saw probably 60, 65 different teams, maybe 60 different teams at all levels. And I still like Isaiah Stevens' ability to score like an ISO basket when his team needs it, more than anyone on the UVA roster. And I think with two teams, with two brilliant coaches, I love Tony Bennett, I love Nico Medved. I think they're both going to have, really good game plans, but I think both are going to be very methodical. It's going to be late shot clock situations. The guy I'd rather have my money on in that scenario is Isaiah Stevens. There's no question about it. So, Virginia, the offensive execution has been poor at times this year. I mean, they're going to kind of have to defend their way to a win. I'm not saying they can't, but I think in a game like this, neutral court, bright lights, NCAA tournament, I kind of want the guy that can hit the big shot. I think that guy is Stevens, 16.8 points per game, led Colorado State in scoring this year. And so for that reason, I lean toward Colorado State in this game.
So I want to ask you about the Mountain West Conference, because the Mountain West Conference, they got 6 bids. There's been a lot of talk. The Big East only got 3. How good is this conference? And is this conference going to be a bet on conference in this tournament or a bet against? There's been a lot of talk that the Mountain West was underseeded compared to what their net rankings were and what the Ken Palm rankings were and the like. How do you feel about this conference as a whole? Is Colorado State one of a number of bet on teams for you out of the Mountain West? Or are we looking in general to be fading some of these teams as opposed to backing them?
Teddy, I don't like to blanket the whole conference. I really want to take it case by case, but I do think collectively the Mountain West played the game really well this year, where they scheduled the conference seemed to schedule well non-conference. They won a lot of those games. So you had, you came into Mountain West play with teams like Utah State, New Mexico, Colorado State. They were all 13-1. Nevada, 14-0, I think, at one point. So, and then they beat up on each other. It's a really tough conference to travel in and win. So you had a lot of these teams go and sort of get big wins. You had San Diego State coming in off of a national title appearance last year, so they were highly rated. So I really think that the conference sort of played the game well, right? They had good November and December, then they played each other. So instead of their rating dipping, it just kept boosting the rating of these top sort of 6 teams, because they kept getting, they managed to do enough on their home floor, and then they lose to the other good team. I don't really know if I want to approach this as I'm just going to fade Mountain West teams. I'm going to back them. But I do think that maybe the profile of the conference is a little bit inflated. I kind of made the point when I talked about this with Drew Martin on the college basketball show yesterday. I still think I'd take the top 7 from the ACC over the top 7 from the Mountain West. Now, I'm contradicting myself a little bit because this is ACC versus Mountain West, and I lean toward Colorado State. But, Teddy, that's kind of another thing maybe keeping me off of making this a client play. I do think the matchup favors Colorado State here, and I think Stevens is the key. But, yeah, there's a little of me that doesn't really want to jump in with these Mountain West teams, and it's probably why that this is going to remain in the lean category for me.
Adam Trigger joining us, everybody. Leans on Colorado State. We're going to talk Baylor and Colgate in just a few minutes. Before we get into that, if you guys could take 1 second out of your day, hit that like button, it would be greatly appreciated. Art DiCesare and Dave Sharapan joining us as well today. But really, we got a lot to speak about business-wise. Adam Trigger is the $2 Tuesday handicapper today, everybody. If you've never heard it, watch the show. If you're not familiar with how WagerTalk.com works, we basically are a handicapping company. We sell bets for a living. Adam Trigger, normally you would buy his play for $25. Today it is only $2. And you are on a 13-3 run in college basketball, which is outstanding. 5% bet for Adam Trigger. Now, guys, you take the $2, you buy Adam Trigger. What you will see inside of his package is a bunch more promotion opportunities, including I happen to have a 5% NHL play up tonight. It is an NHL money line bet. I am 8-2 in these plays in 2 years. These are really strong plays. I'm also 31-17 in all my NHL money line bets this season. Now, why am I telling you this? Because inside of Adam Trigger's $2 Tuesday play as a promo code for my play, it's regularly $35. You get it for only $10. $10 if you buy Adam Trigger's $2 Tuesday play. Now, I know Teddy's sick of my promotion. This wasn't my idea, Teddy. Head office called. They're like, hey, Prez, you're on a 27-11 run. Let's piggyback you inside a Trigger. And I'm like, holy crap, I just put a 5% play up. What perfect timing. So I actually put my 5% play up first. And I love this play. Adam, I hope you break records on the $2 Tuesday play tonight. 5% max bet. Good luck, my friend. Okay, Baylor. Friday game. Playing Colgate. I feel like, Adam, and talk to me twofold. One, who's going to win this game from a betting perspective? And two, am I crazy to put Baylor in as my survivor bet for Friday?
No, well, I'll start with your second question. No, I don't think that's crazy at all because I think this is as good of a matchup as you could ask for Baylor. And I'm not sure that Baylor is the team that wins the whole thing this year. I do think there's some upside to them, but I don't really know that they're a Final Four team. So they're probably a great survivor pick because I'd be shocked if they don't get through Colgate. But again, you probably won't use them come Elite Eight or Final Four. So no, Prez, I'm all about that for survivor. And listen, so this is a client play for me. I wasn't going to hold out on you guys. The first one I gave was kind of more of an opinion. This is a 4% play. I laid it with Baylor, laid 13.5. I think this probably goes off more 14.5, maybe even 15. I think Baylor covers every number. I'll actually be surprised if this is anything other than a 20-plus point Baylor win. The reason I kind of come up with that number of 20 is last year's Colgate team, in my opinion, was much better than this year's by a wide margin, and I'll get into why in a minute. But last year, Colgate was a 15 seed. They played Texas. They lost by 20. This year's Colgate team is a 14 seed because of some of the 1 seeds that lost. But they're far worse than they were last year, and this is not a good matchup for them. So it's hard to believe that Baylor does anything worse than what Texas did to them last year. And so I think it's going to be a 20-plus point win. Colgate, they played 2 opponents that are roughly sort of similar caliber opponents to Baylor this season. They were back earlier in the year. It was Illinois and Arizona. They lost those games by 17 and 27 respectively. So there's precedence for Colgate, this Colgate team, also getting blown out by some of the high major teams. And, I came on this show and talked, the college basketball show, my own sort of spaces. I've been talking about Colgate all year. The Colgate University is right down the street from where I live. It's only 25 minutes away. I've been to, see them a couple times in person, went to the Patriot League final last week. I really thought this was going to be the year that Colgate took a step back and either didn't win this league or didn't win the Patriot League tournament. And it wasn't. And the reason that it wasn't is because the rest of the Patriot League was so poor this year. The league collectively was so much worse that Colgate was still the best in that league by a mile, even though this is probably the worst Colgate team I would say that they've had in probably 5 years. Of any point of this sort of quote unquote dynasty that they've had, I really believe this is the worst of any of those teams. Now, big reason for that, Tucker Richardson graduates, Oliver Lynch-Daniels graduates, 2 very experienced excellent guards that were great on both ends of the floor. And it kind of turned Colgate into they can't really play with their optimal lineup anymore. Reason for that is the good players they have, 2 of them are both bigs. Jeff Woodward, Keegan Records, they're both 7-footers. So that's great in the Patriot League when no one has size. But it slows them down. It's going to be brutal for them against a Baylor team that it will light you up from the 3-point arc. So I think Colgate's going to have a really tough time defending Baylor. They're one of the highest efficiency 3-point shooting teams in the country. Just feels like a spot where Baylor runs them out. So I laid it. I would lay any number, 4% play, Baylor Bears.
So we're talking about an early start neutral site game in Nashville, Tennessee, where I can't imagine Baylor's going to have a whole lot of crowd support. I worry about the juice for the Bears in this one, in that opener. Do they come? I mean, we're talking about laying doubles. Baylor hasn't even been a double-digit favorite since the start of conference play. And now they're laying doubles. They have to win by margin. And I worry about, is this going to be a low-energy game for the Bears? Given that early start, given the neutral court, does that concern you at all for this one? Certainly, I wouldn't talk you out of Baylor. Baylor's on my short list as well. But I'm worried about that particular aspect of the game.
Yeah, I mean, the early start time is always tricky, Teddy, but they would have to shoot so poorly from 3, in my opinion, to not cover this game. Not just not win this game, to not cover this game, that I'm willing to, I'd be willing to take my chances with, 10 minutes of sort of blah play from Baylor. Colgate was in this spot a couple of years ago. I think they played Arkansas and were up 15 before Arkansas ran them out by 20 plus. So there's also, kind of precedence for that happening in the way they play. Colgate's really just kind of given up the 3 all year because not many of these Patriot League teams can hit the 3. But if they don't do that, Baylor's gotten a little bit better on the inside. Their guards, even though they don't have a great post player, Yves Missy has been a lot better. He's a freshman with a huge upside. I think he could dominate in the paint. And the Baylor guards are just going to like I said, no Tucker Richardson, no Oliver Lynch-Daniels, no one to cover those Baylor guards that can get right to the hoop. So no matter how you slice it, it's just hard to see Baylor not scoring a bunch of points and winning this one. I'll call it by 20 at least.
Brilliant. Adam Trigger, great insight, my friend. Outstanding stuff. Look, guys, $2 for Adam's 5% play tonight. The play isn't tonight, though, right? It's a March Madness play.
Yep. It's Thursday. The 5% play that's up for $2 goes Thursday. I do have a play tonight in the other NCAA game, so the Wagner-Howard game. It's already out to clients, and I'll be putting up like an individual brick for that as soon as I get off the show. So if you're looking for the other play-in game, I do have that on my card tonight as well.
Brilliant. Adam Trigger, good luck, everybody. Adam, thanks for joining us. Teddy, man, Art DiCesare and Dave Sharapan still to come. I mean, this is going to be a kick-ass show. Before that, what did we learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
I want to talk about brackets today. Brackets. Everywhere you look, you got brackets and seeds. You fill out the brackets, you pick some upsets. Now look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. You see any brackets there? You see any seeds there? Nary a one. Just matchups and point spreads. And as a bettor, that's the way we have to think. Does it really matter that BYU is supposed to be a 5 seed but drop down to the 6 seed because they don't play on Sundays? Does it matter that the East is absolutely brutal with UConn, Iowa State, Auburn, Illinois, arguably the best 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds out there? No and no. You want to do brackets for fun? Go do brackets for fun. Betting equals point spreads, money lines, totals, props. That's what our focus is on. How do you bet? One game at a time, one day at a time. So good luck with your brackets. I don't give a shit. I haven't filled one out yet. I might not. I didn't last year. Betting is different. Remember that as we approach one of the funnest weekends of the entire year. Brackets go over here in your thought process. Betting in a completely different place. And frankly, I don't think it hurts you at all if you don't even fill out a bracket for the entirety of the 2024 NCAA Tournament. You're not going to win it, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Teddy, I haven't filled out a bracket in yours. I don't give a shit. The most common question I get when I leave the house, who's going to win? Who's going to win the madness? Who's going to win the NBA championship? Who's going to win the Stanley Cup? I don't have a goddamn clue. I am trying to find a bet for you for tonight.
Yes.
That's my priority. That's my focus. I could care less who wins. With that said, if BYU makes a run, they will never play on a Sunday? Is that how it works?
That's how it's set up for them, yeah.
Wow, nice. Art DiCesare joining us, everyone. Art, man, you texted Teddy and I. You're like, I can't do Friday. We're like, dude, you are doing a show no matter what. We are kidnapping you. We need you. We have to have you. You're like, okay, how's Tuesday sound? Well, here we are, brother. You excited about the madness in front of us?
I am, man. This is, I heard Adam say it. This is like the best time of the year.
Okay,
I love it. It is. College basketball is the best, man. I mean, these 4 days, it's hard to touch these 4 days. And I'm Mr. NFL. There's nothing like an NFL Sunday. Nothing like it. But these 4 days from just getting everyone involved, just the juice of it, random people who you don't talk to all year who are going to text you about a bracket or a bet or this. It's just a lot of fun.
But sorry, Teddy. Art, seriously, you as Art loves the madness, or you as Art working throughout the madness loves the madness? Because if I was in your position, I would be counting the minutes for it to end.
That's a good question, Prez. I think 8-year-old Art, who was the little sports nut, who was, flipping through Sports Illustrated and cutting out the pictures and filling out brackets and just, kind of absorbing everything there is to do about sports. I'm still that guy. And then you get into this business, and yeah, you get a little cynical and you get a little, I can't wait for it to end. But I love it. I think college basketball is a lot of fun to book because it's such a sharp sport. You can really use the information to book to your advantage. I enjoy the process and the challenge of it.
So do you fill out brackets, Art? Do you have a bracket that you filled out?
I do.
So
I
who's
haven't
gonna win
done
it
it yet.
all?
I'm in a couple
You
of
haven't done it
brackets
yet, all
with
right.
I haven't done it yet, but to be fair, I'm in a couple of brackets, money brackets with people I've been in with for years. So, it's just something I do and like to have fun with. And I'm not going to shock anyone here. UConn's the best team in the country. They're going to win.
But from a let's call it a casual bettor, a recreational bettor standpoint, when it comes to brackets versus point spreads, betting versus filling out brackets, how do you differ your thought process between the two? A bet versus a bracket pick. Does your thought process different as you're doing one versus the other?
A little bit, but you know what I like to do early on in the process, and obviously you can kind of figure it out and see what's going to happen down the line, but in the first round, you can kind of take point spreads and use them to your advantage to fill out a bracket. You can look at, this 12 is a little bit closer, or this 11, or look, this 10 is favored over this 7. Like, you can use that thought process because there are so many people who are just going to pick schools or pick the higher seed or whatever the case may be. So I like to do that early on in the process. And then I can look down the line at maybe a matchup in the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 and look maybe where a power rating number would come from and what my theoretical spread would be and something like that. So you can use it to your advantage gambling to fill out a bracket.
Art, let's get into some actionable information. Let's start right off the bat with futures, and then we'll go into what you're seeing or hearing with Thursday and Friday. Any big bet that's come in that we should know? I know you mentioned UConn. Has anybody that you respect laid any amount of substantial money from a future perspective?
I'll say this. The two teams who are basically, let's say they're in the top, they're one of the 1, 2, or 3 seeds. They're in the top 12. The two teams that we have the most liability on are the Arizona Wildcats and the Purdue Boilermakers. And that's been going on all year. There's been money flowing in on those teams all year. So those right now out of the top 12, obviously there are long shots if they win, like a South Carolina or North Carolina State. Those teams win the championship, it wouldn't be good, but those are obviously way longer shots. We're talking about teams who legitimately have a shot to make a run, make a Final Four, and make a championship game. As far as the Regents go, Regents went up yesterday. The early action in the West, Arizona. They took the action. They are the favored team, despite being the 2 seed. We had them at plus 250. Took a respected bet, on them at 250. Now they're 2-1. The Midwest, the team that's getting a lot of love is Gonzaga. High as 12-1, went to 10-1, then went to 9-1. In the South, Duke, no surprise. Duke always takes money. We had Duke open to win that South region at 7-1. They're now 5-1. And the East is tough because Teddy mentioned that's the toughest bracket. UConn's in there. 4 of the top 10 Ken Palm teams, 3 of the top 5 Ken Palm teams. But the team that people want to take a shot on because they're kind of a sleeper is another team Teddy mentioned, that team who can't play on Sunday. BYU at 16-1 has taken the love. No one's going to take UConn at plus 105 to win that region. We even thought about opening them maybe minus 110 or even money, but we settled on plus 105.
Let's talk about the first 4. Obviously, that's the quickest actionable information that we can get. 2 games tonight, 2 games tomorrow night. Wagner Howard, Colorado State, Virginia tonight. What are you seeing in terms of the sharp action for Tuesday night play-in games in the NCAA tournament?
16 game, it's tough to really give one on that, but the Colorado State money has poured in. I think a lot of people feel Virginia is the one team. There's a couple others that shouldn't have been in. The Mountain West obviously gets some love here around town, but it's not that it was public money. We were 2, went to 2.5. I saw some 3s. I didn't look early this morning, but there probably still are some 3s out there. And we took a sharp 2 bet, -2 on Colorado State. Respected money yesterday, which moved us up.
And for tomorrow, we talk about the play-in games. We got Colorado, Boise State, Grambling, and Montana State. Anything stand out to you from that duo of play-in games for the big dance this weekend?
Colorado's pretty public. They've laid the number with Colorado money line. Feels like Colorado has started everyone's money line parlays going to Thursday. So that's been a popular play as well. And listen, not that Colorado State didn't take money line action as well. I always tell people these tight spreads early, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. A lot of people, even the sharp guys, will come in and lay the money line because these tight games in the tournament, you want to take the points out of it.
Sure, we can count on them being tight. What about NIT/CBI in the lesser tournaments? Is that anything the public gets involved with, the ESPN games even, or is that just all wise guy action? And what are you seeing in terms of wise guy action for NIT on Tuesday?
Yeah, nothing to report so far in the sharp stuff, but I will say this about the NIT. The sharp stuff really seems to come, and it happens all year with college, is the totals. You'll see a lot of totals fluctuate in that NIT, CBI, and does the public get involved? A little bit. It's not something that they're running to the window to bet. I don't even think a lot of people realize that they're out. If they're looking at an app or looking at a sports app, they're going, wait, UNLV Princeton, that's a tournament. Like, I don't even think they realize that's an NIT game. So I think people get a little confused as well.
So one thing we haven't asked you, Art, who do you like? Give me a first round upset. Give me a first round blowout.
I think my favorite game in the first round is TCU against Utah State. I love Jamie Dixon. This team has been close the last couple of years to really making a run. I also think they're going to beat Purdue in the second round. But just talking their first round game, lay 3 with TCU against Utah State. And, if you're looking at a team, they're not really that big of a dog. They're a slight dog. But I think this Oregon team has a shot. Once again, I'm going the coaching route. I love Dana Altman. He hasn't been in the tournament the last couple of years. But every time he brings a team to the tournament, they're getting healthy. The big guy's back. Altman makes a run. South Carolina's a really tough team. But I think that's a team in that weird Midwest that can make a little bit of a, they can upset the apple cart a little bit because that's the Purdue-Tennessee bracket, and nobody trusts those two teams.
Art
Let me just ask you real quick. TCU is now -4 at the Westgate. They're -4.5 all over. Do you still like TCU at the current number, or is that one of those, well, you should have bet it yesterday, Delios?
No, I'd still bet it. If it's -4, I would still bet TCU there. I think TCU is a team who wins between 8 to 12 points there. Utah State, that's a team who lost twice to UNLV. And I'm not trying to hammer UNLV. UNLV came on late, and they were obviously a good team in a really tough conference. But I can't take a team that lost to UNLV twice, even though they were tight games. TCU is just better, and they're better coached.
Art DiCesare joining us at Art Dice. A great follow on Twitter, everybody. Art,
that's not his Twitter handle.
It's not
at Art Dice 21 on Twitter.
What's up
Art
with the 21, dude?
21. It's always been there. We've said it.
I know.
Art,
okay,
I believe you were the first sportsbook guest we had. The first WagerTalk Today we did. You were on the show, or that first week. We've been giving out the same Twitter handle every time you've been on the show.
You can lecture me off air, okay?
Okay.
Good. Shut up.
Prez, I've been here.
I'm getting it. I want no issues today. I got a 5% break with my clients. I want a noiseless day. I want to go into my game in a good mood. Art, we got 5 NBA games tonight. There are other sports going. I think the NHL card is spectacular tonight. Let's talk NBA first.
How about some
anything
sharp tournament
you like?
games? I haven't given out the sharp tournament games.
Okay, so let's go. Sharp tournament games.
Let's do some sharp tournament games. Come on. That's why I'm here, Fred.
Yeah, NBA. Nobody wants NBA today, dude.
No.
Okay,
we got Art
DiCesare
for the Westgate Superbook.
Come on.
Who's the sharp money pouring in on these in the big dance? All right.
Sheesh.
Who do they like? Who do the pros like?
I'm giving you 5.
Give me your top few public plays and your top few wise guy plays.
I'm ready. Let's start with the public because the public likes to take name brand teams a lot of the time. They're laying it with Michigan State -1 money line in that range. Pick them wherever they're going to get it. They're going to lay it. Taking over in the Kentucky game. Over 163, over 163.5. It actually went up, so the public was on the right side of that one. They laid it with Kansas. They were on the right side of that one, too. Kansas was 6.5, 7, now 8, but the public is going to lay that with Kansas. And as we know, all the money line name brands are going to be tied together in 6, 8, and 10 team parlays. That's just the way it works. And one with some local flavor in the Mountain West. They laid 6.5 with San Diego State, now 7. Those are all public plays. Now the Sharps. Sharps took the over in the Kansas game. Open 150.5, now 153.5. Kansas versus Samford. They laid 2 big numbers. They laid 19.5 with Tennessee. Then they laid 20.5 as well against the darlings from a couple of years ago, St. Pete. Tennessee now minus 21.5. They also laid the 19.5 with Arizona against Long Beach State. That one only went up another point to 20.5. They didn't lay it again at 20.5 like they did with Tennessee. BYU, very popular. That's one of the biggest moves of the first round. BYU minus 8 against Duquesne. They laid 8.5, and then we went to 9 and 9.5. That's where we sit now. And Drake, who's one of those 10 seeds who is favored over a 7 seed Washington State, opened as pick. We moved to 1.5 on Drake. The Drake money flowed in. That was all sharp action.
Okay, Teddy. I don't want to get yelled at by you again. I was going to send Art on his way, but then you wrote, ask him about his baseball futures. So,
I have
hey,
a
I'm willing
follow-up
to
question
go
about what he just said with the pros and Joes. What's that?
I'm willing to go all day.
Huh? We got Art then.
Art, MLB
Art, haven't the
futures.
wise guys been going against Washington State all year? Or is that something new and different for this? It felt like there's been a lot of sharp money against the Cougs.
Yeah, recently. I mean, they were kind of hot mid-season, and then they have totally dipped. That's a complete dip by Washington State. So, I think the team that's dipped in the Pac-12 is Washington State, and the team that's rose up everyone's board is Oregon.
Okay.
And before we let you go, Art,
just
anything
go.
you want to talk about MLB futures?
Yeah, I'm done.
President, all right, good, Teddy, you and I. Teddy, obviously it's weird because the Yankees always take money, and people always want to bet their overs, bet them to win the World Series, bet them to win the division. Any prop we have, Judge, Soto, home runs, over. But they've had a lot of injury news here in this, obviously, spring training. Cole, LeMahieu, Judge has been banged up. So it's been weird with them. So we started to see a little bit money come in on the under 92.5 wins. And then we started to see other people want to take chances on other teams in the division, like the Orioles, which they were betting anyway, and they were betting their over wins. But then you started to see Tampa Bay money come in at 10-1. So I think a lot of anti-Yankee stuff has been out there recently with all the injury news that has been happening.
Arthur DiCesare at ArtDice21 on Twitter. Tell us what's going on this weekend over at the Westgate Superbook.
Well, this is one of our weekends, guys. Obviously, I'm enjoying my off day today. My one off day came on with you boys because obviously I wanted to talk this tournament because it's one of my favorites. And then we will be rocking and rolling here through Sunday. So listen, guys, as always, come down to the Westgate. We'll have parlay cards. We'll have all the props. We've got shirts we're giving away, March Madness stuff. And like I said, today, tomorrow, get down and sign up for the app. It's really going to help you during the tournament. It's really hard to be waiting in those lines. You don't want to get squeezed out of 15, 16-minute second halves, especially if you want to play all day. So, that's my suggestion. Come down, get set up at the app. If you have any questions, you come down, you ask. We'll pop out. We'll help you.
Art DiCesare, thanks for joining us, brother. Boudreaux Ghazi, Teddy. He writes, thank you, Prez. Thank God he's gone. He's such a bummer. I'm back. And yeah, that wasn't my best segment. Yeah, Teddy and I were all over each other. Sure, Teddy lectured me most of the time through, but I got thick skin. And Boudreaux, I love you, bro. I'm glad that I bum you out. Teddy, we do have Dave Sharapan waiting in the wings. We've already seen a glimpse of that sexy man. But before we go there, it's time for your big game breakdown.
Big game breakdown. Let's talk some Tuesday night NIT. Right now, looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, Butler minus 4.5, total 150.5 against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and all the early money's come for Butler today. And look, you can understand why from a power ranking standpoint. They're the better of the two teams in theory. And Butler started the season great. They had nothing but early wins and covers at home. They had a huge Thanksgiving tournament, 3-0 ATS with wins over Boise and Penn State, a tight loss to Florida Atlantic. They beat Texas Tech coming out of Turkey Day. And frankly, they've been overrated ever since the beginning of December. We're talking about 2-10 against the spread their last 12 home games. And both of those two come with an asterisk. One came in as a favorite in overtime. The other was senior day against Xavier. They were burying threes early in that game. They led 37-20. They barely hung on. Won by only 6, only because Xavier didn't hit a shot, not because Butler did a whole lot right. This is not a team I trust to lay points. This is not a strong home court edge. Even with the motivation of being able to play in their home court if they reach the Final Four, I do not trust Butler to beat anybody by margin. Minnesota started the year 23-3 ATS. The single best point spread team in the country. The betting markets never caught up. What happened down the stretch? Crashed and burned. 1-5 straight up. 1-5 against the spread. But who'd they lose to? Nebraska, Illinois, Indiana, Northwestern on senior day, and Michigan State. All teams that are better than Butler. The quotes coming out of the Gopher locker room, they're interested, they're focused, they're coming to win. Plus 4.5. Too many for this better. Give me the points. A client play for me tonight. I like Minnesota to hang tough with a shot at the outright upset. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers. There we go. He likes Minnesota. That's a client play. We've had 2 client plays given out on the show. Dave Sharapan joining us. Dave, I don't know what to say or what to ask. I just don't want to be lectured from Teddy at all. I'm happy to just eat my sandwich. And what is on your hat? There we go. I couldn't see it. Are you excited about the madness?
Excited that it's Flex Tuesday and there's already been drama. Okay. Flex it out. Let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I don't know what happened. I got in there late. I saw Art on here whining and crying that he has to work 6 days this week. It's tough in the book when you got to work 6 days. I mean, come on, Art.
But in the same regard, he was so excited about this week. He's like, I love this week. I've never been happier. Go this week. I'm in Art's position. I'm like, I hate this week. Let it end.
But see, you're cranky and you're angry and you don't like people. These are all true facts. I mean, you come to town and you go in stealth mode. You'll spend 10 days here playing poker and I don't hear from you for a year. I mean, you go play golf without me, and this is what you do. So this is a big week, Prez. This is an enormous week in Vegas. I mean, they even gave us a live show. We'll be at Resorts World Thursday and Friday. If anybody's in town, come to the Red Tail Lounge. Teddy's coming one of the days. Teddy's on the show. We're doing the show from 4 to 6 p.m., me and Peralt. And, this is when everybody comes. This is like saying hello to old friends. People come on these trips for 10 years, 15 years. They pick 1 week a year. It's week 1 of March Madness.
Okay. Now that we've discussed how incredible your Resorts World show is that you've never invited me on.
You don't want to come.
They're not all live. Oh, look at that. Dave Sharapan. Teddy, I'm just going to shut up. Get some actionable info out of this man.
I will try. So, Dave, you've been bouncing around town for the last couple of days.
Yes.
If there's someone that has their pulse on the finger, on the pulse on the wrist of the sports betting world in this town, it's you. Who does everybody like? Who does everybody not like? Give me some hot teams. Give me some cold teams. Give me some teams that are getting too much action. Give me teams that are getting too little action. Talk to me about where the money is flowing here in Las Vegas this week.
Theodore, there's a couple dogs that people are really falling in love with, okay? There's a couple. Let's see. Thursday, Michigan State, well, they can't lose. Now, they're a small favorite, but that's one that cannot lose. Let's see. South Dakota State on Thursday, the Jackrabbits against Iowa State. I don't know. McNeese State against Gonzaga. Those are the Thursday dogs that people like. And again, those dogs don't I mean, I tell people this all the time. There's only 64 teams in the tournament after today and tomorrow. Okay. There's a public side and a sharp side, rhombuses, parallelograms. Sometimes they win. Like, it doesn't mean that it's a dead side. You know, we got to get away from that argument. But a lot of times these happen. It's the favorites that go down. And everybody's on UConn. Okay. Houston to win it all has been a very popular choice. And let's see. Purdue apparently has the easiest path, Teddy. Them to make the Final Four is like a done deal. It's only a 4-game parlay. And you remember what happened to Purdue in the past. Those three teams, I mean, obviously they're the top 3 seeds. We're not unearthing anything new here. I don't understand the love for Arizona. The Arizona love is real. They only have to go to City. They're going to LA.
It's as confusing to me as the love you have for those. I don't even know what you said. Those glasses are so distracting. They are so ridiculous.
Really?
I'm like, I needed to jump in because it's like, how can I?
What?
You can't actually be serious wearing those things, right? Like, you don't actually wear them in public.
Oh, people love them. People come up and want to touch them. Seriously, they want to try them on. I keep a spare one in the bag.
Can you just do this segment without them on? Our listeners need to hear what you're saying.
We were trying to do this segment without you.
Yeah, well, that didn't work, schmuck. Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm gonna be worse
start
tomorrow,
calling each other names.
Tomorrow, I'm coming to the show tomorrow with my with gloves out, knives out. I'm done. You wait, Theodore. You just wait.
Hold on, Lawrence. Where's your sport coat? I saw videos with you and Kelly with a sport coat on. Where's your sport coat?
We sent him out of the room. Yeah. So in my world, I would say at least 20% of all shows that my co-host has walked off. So I'm used to this.
He went. Whoa, this is a tremendous return. That's the way you walk back into the room, Lawrence. That's the way you come back. Teddy, Theodore, he came back with the sport coat. It was straight right over the chair next to him.
It's a gorgeous coat.
It's the only positive thing I can say about him today is that he looks sharp.
Yeah,
the best
I
thing he's done all
got nothing
day.
Positive to say about you, Teddy.
Oh, okay. I know. It's because I didn't screw up the segments the way you did.
Yeah, not at all.
Let's get some actionable information from.
What the hell's going
on
in here?
Lawrence, would you like to ask Dave some questions, or should
Talk some hockey, Lawrence?
No, I know. And now that he's taking his glasses off, you can continue, Teddy.
The glasses are off. Come on.
Are we done with college basketball?
Well, I mean, I heard what Art said. If people are coming here, bring cash. Okay? Nobody does anything with cards. People have some of my greatest memories are people coming up to pay for their bets with a credit card in Vegas. They type all these tickets and they go, "Oh, wait, you don't take a card?" No, bring cash. Number one. Number two, set up different accounts because there are various lines. And I don't mean just betting lines. There's long lines of people waiting to get up to the counter to make bets. So set up accounts before you come here so you don't have to get yelled at by like people like Prez who are waiting in line to go, get something taken care of. Or bet hockey. There's horse racing guys. There's hockey guys, there's NBA people, there's golf people that are trying to bet. When you're here this week, it's all about the basketball. So just come and have a good time and bring sunscreen because it's going to be in the low 70s. And there's a lot of people that have been in winter in Canada, like our friend Rob Prez, or like if Carmine showed up this week. He's been in hiding up there in Canada all this time. He's going to get sunburned. I've seen people torched coming to the window.
Thanks for the personal services announcement. Can I ask you if there's anything on the hockey card you like, or is Teddy going to bitch slap me?
Hold on.
Can I give one last NCAA tournament question, and then we'll move to hockey?
Let's go, please.
Who do you like, Dave? Give me your best bet round one.
Round one. What's the deal with New Mexico and Clemson? I don't understand how teams like Clemson got in. Like the ACC got in on pedigree. I like New Mexico. We're going to have on assistant coach from Colorado State today on the Bostonian versus the book. I'm going to point blank ask you of their mental state right now because the Mountain West got 6 teams in, and 2 of them got to play their way in. I like Colorado State in that playing game. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased, but I had somebody tell me on our show 33-61-1. The Mountain West is in their last, 95 games in the NCAA tournament. I don't know what that's worth. That's a trend that trend bettors love.
Dave, we've got the daily presidential address coming up where I've got some, and no, we'll relax. I got some NHL bets to give out. One of my bets, I'll tell you now, I like the New York Islanders tonight. They are plus 140, give or take, playing the red hot Carolina Hurricanes. So there's a nice dog that I see on the board. Do you see anything? Because there's a lot of games.
There are a lot of games, but Prez, look at the Vegas line. What's the deal with that one? I wore the Vegas stuff because I can't believe this is a pick'em game. Tampa's playing, they're 6-3-1 in their last 10. And coming to Vegas on a Tuesday night, you get a plus money. What is it? Plus 115, 120 if you look at the market. I like Tampa. I can't believe that Pittsburgh and last night New Jersey was minus 130. And the Penguins got to be live in that game. As bad as they're playing, the Devils are playing worse. Toronto and Philly over. Winnipeg and the Rangers is the best game on the board. That's going to be an awesome
I like
hockey
the under in that
game.
Me
too. I love when we hit sometimes on these. I don't want any drama, but I want to hear the presidential address. People, hit the like button so Prez doesn't get mad. Please.
Well, we have more than enough likes. Dave, what do you got to promote? And then we'll get into the presidential address.
Bostonia versus the book every day, Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern. Get on the YouTube channel at Boston versus the book. It's available in podcast form as well. Cash considerations every single day. Me and producer Dan Alexander, you guys know him very well, at Newbie Talks. Me and him are doing a show every day. It's 15 to 20 minutes, hardcore music and picks. And then every day on Sports Grid and Sirius XM. Next week, MLB Network, baseball stuff. Here we go. Thanks, boys. Presidential address. Do it.
Okay. Time for your daily presidential address, everybody. I got 3 bets to give out. Love them all. Before we get into that, shout out to Adam Trigger. He's on a 13-3 college basketball run. He's the $2 Tuesday handicapper over at WagerTalk. You can go over there and buy his play for only $2. Now, I have a 5% play in the NHL tonight. I love this play. It is an NHL money line bet. I am 8-2. 8-2 in 2 years of 5% NHL money line bets. I'm on 31-17. Well, my record this whole season is 31-17 in NHL money line bets. And I'm on an 8-2 NHL run. And on and on and on. So I have a 5% NHL play up tonight. If you guys buy Adam Trigger's $2 play, inside of there is a promo code to get my 5% for only $10. So take advantage of that. Let's get into tonight's game. Right off the bat, one of my favorite plays, probably one of my favorite free plays in a while, is the Detroit Red Wings in regulation tonight. Now, they are playing horrible hockey. They lost 7 games in a row. They've lost 8 of their last 9, but I think they get it right tonight. They got Dylan Larkin about to come back. He's not going to play tonight. This team is in a playoff hunt. They need to get going. And like how cowbells fix fevers, the Columbus Blue Jackets fix losing streaks. I think this game's going to be a blowout, somewhere around 6-2. Take Detroit in regulation. The next game I like is the Bruins in regulation, minus somewhere around 140. This Bruins team also up and down, up and down, up and down. I think it's a great spot for them. Shitty spot for Ottawa. I like the Bruins in regulation. And my favorite total of the night is Winnipeg and the New York Rangers under. Although the Winnipeg Jets have been scoring of late, they've put up 6 goals twice. Well, in each game, their last 2 games, this team has been holding opponents to 1 or 0 goals. I think 4 out of their last 7 games. The New York Rangers have an outstanding defense, 2 best goalies in hockey, playoff type atmosphere, take under the total. That's it for the show. Teddy, take us home.
Enjoy the games. Best of luck with your wagers. We'll be back again on Wager Talk Today tomorrow. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast. Noon for you.